festival. You are listening to SGFR, podcast radio for the festival. Now broadcasting highlights and top picks, your tasty, tantalizing tease for this coming year.
Everybody, I have Matt Town with me, brackets Guildmaster, brackets. That's what it says on his Discord name, which is brilliant. And it's very appropriate that that's what you have as your handle for Discord, because I understand you're leading this year's Adventurers League for the festival. Is that right? Or is this going to be an unbelievably short interview?
Yeah, no, that is right. I think we realise that there's potential and demand for a greater presence of D&D at the festival, and Adventurers League is a setup that's designed, for festivals and conventions, that kind of thing. So yeah, we decided to give it a good go this year.
I'm glad you have. It's such an exciting thing. It's more continuity, so there's a pathway people can travel. Perhaps we should go back a bit. In the unlikely chance that one or two of our listeners doesn't actually know what an Adventurers League is, how would you describe it?
So the proper term for it, they call it organised
Yes.
play. And there's a long history of that in RPGs, going back many, many years, as long as gaming conventions have been a thing. And what it is it allows you, rather than lots of different tables of disjointed games where you might go to one game, play one character there, go to another table, play a different character there, and having sort of a disjointed event experience, it enables some continuity between tables. So you can come and create an Adventurers League character, and then you can take that character from table to table, and you can even play across one storyline across multiple tables in several modules, and have like a nice connected thematic kind of experience. And it's nice that it's kind of standardized, like there's guidelines in place for creating the characters, not too many, but just to make sure that there's no massive power imbalance. You haven't got someone with ridiculous magic items that's leveled up to level 15 playing with someone who's new at level 1 and has very little equipment. Or it's kind of a nice level playing field. Everyone can have a really nice experience out of it, and you get to meet lots of different people as well. You can rotate around different tables, meeting different people, playing with different people, and yeah, it's a really nice way of running D&D events.
It sounds brilliant, and I love the whole extended journey of it. I understand that there are several DMs, dungeon masters or game masters, participating in this. It must be quite a challenge to coordinate it. Or what are the numbers? Who's involved? And what are the kind of themes that we'll be going through it?
So we've got several DMs who have volunteered to run Adventurers League, and the schedule for them's pretty much finalised at the moment, but a few little tweaks to make. And then those DMs will be assigned modules from a season, and we voted in the Discord on what season we wanted to run. Some of the Adventurers League in the past has been seasonal, and some less so. But I think one of the key things that's nice to have at an event is to run one season and play through this continual storyline. And it was actually season 10, which is set in Icewind Dale, which won the vote. So the GMs will be running modules set in Icewind Dale, which those who the name might ring a bell for some people, because there was an old RPG set there I think in the early 2000s it came out. But it's a region in the far north of the Forgotten Realms. It's like a frozen landscape, and it's set at a time in the history when Auriel, the goddess of winter, has kind of taken over, and it's like an eternal darkness which has increased the cold, increased the snow. And there's 10 towns situated in Icewind Dale, which are 10 small towns that carve out survival in this region, often by fishing. And then there's a series of events that happen around there in that region, and all these modules tie into that. That's kind of what we'll be running.
That's great. How many DMs? And given the nature of DMs, does that mean that you get a different story style each table you go to?
Yeah, so I think we're looking at 9 or 10 DMs.
That's great, yeah.
And obviously each DM runs their table a little bit differently, and that's still very much open to DMs to leave their own mark on it. You could run the combat theatre of the mind if they wanted. You could use a battle map if you wanted to. How they narrate it, whether it's kind of a bit comedy or whether it's a serious Lord of the Rings kind of style game. All that kind of stuff, that creative license is down to the DMs themselves. but it's standardized in the important ways. You're not going to have one DM can't be giving the players thousands of gold and the most powerful magic items for them to then go to the next table and then overshadow the players on the other table where they won't have that kind of thing. So it's standardized in the ways that matter to keep it fair and fun for everyone. But outside of that, the DMs have their own freedom to run the modules as they want.
That sounds really good. And were there any difficulties in standardizing it, or was it a nice, simple sheet of guidelines?
It's a nice, simple sheet of guidelines. I mean, Adventurers League's been running as long as 5th edition has been out. I think we're on season 14 of the Adventurers League rules at the moment, and they edit them every year. But there used to be a rule, for example, that when you designed your Adventurers League character, you could only use the Player's Handbook, which is like the core book for D&D, and one other source, and that's just was to stop sort of really broken class combinations and people finding the most overpowered things in every book and cherry picking it. But I think over time they realized that the books were well balanced enough that that's not really a concern, and they lifted that limitation. So it's kind of a minimal set of guidelines, and it's mostly based around the rewards for playing the module, and there's a lot of freedom in it. The guidelines for creating characters, if anyone's interested, are on D&D Beyond in the forums. There's an Adventurers League post there with these guidelines in. And we'll, of course, we're more than happy to help anyone who wants to create a character. We'll also have pre-generated characters on the day for anyone new or who doesn't want to have to make a character before. You can just pick it up and play.
That's brilliant. And that actually answers my next question. So in many ways, you're hoping people to have had their initial character created, or, as you say, you've got characters ready for people to just pick up before they hit the festival. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you'd really like to create your own character before, you absolutely can, as long as it's made according to those Adventurers League guidelines.
Yes.
You can come with your own character prepared. You can also just arrive at the festival and pick up one of the characters there. And then if you go on from, let's say you play one module, you never played D&D before, you pick up a character at the festival, play your first module with it and earn yourself a level up. You actually, within AL, you're allowed to rebuild your character. So let's say you pick up a character and it's, I don't know, an elf wizard or something, and you like that character, but it wasn't quite how you would have made it, but you've decided you quite like the game now. You're actually allowed to edit that character and make it into the character that you want it to be. So it's quite flexible, and it's really good for new people to get involved with.
Brilliant.
Definitely.
What kind of commitment is involved here when you rock up? How many games will you be playing? How much time does it cover?
These modules are designed for player events.
Yes.
And they're kind of standardized usually to 4 hours, which is about the average length of a session playing D&D anyway, even in your own home.
Yeah.
Some of the modules are that long, but there is a starter module that's made of four mini adventures basically that could be split down into hour-long segments. So you can just play. We've put it down to a 2-hour block minimum. So you do 2 of those little modules, and then if you signed up for one of those, let's say you play through 2 of these mini adventures and decided it's not for you, you spent 2 hours playing. But then if you decided that you loved it and you'd love to carry on, you could play the other 2 mini adventures, book into that, and play through that whole 4-hour module. And then you could go on and play the next subsequent modules, which are each 4 hours long.
Do you kick off on the Friday? Do you go straight from that day, or
we kick off on the Saturday? So Saturday 10 a.m. the first AL modules start.
Yes.
If anyone, this is also there's flexibility within this. If someone's turned up and they're a DM and they've just decided they want to run an AL module, if you engage in conversation with us, we could help facilitate that. I think.
Cool.
But the program starts at 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Yes.
And then runs all through Sunday, and then there's last games on Monday morning. And you could sit and play D&D for the whole festival if you wanted to play through this storyline. It's amazing how fast time goes when you're having fun playing RPGs. So, or you could just engage with 1 or 2, whatever you're interested in.
Is there a significant disadvantage if, for example, you only do about 25% of the overall story arc? Doesn't that leave you with a slightly undeveloped character at the end?
No. Well, I mean, it depends what you want to get out of the weekends. Of course, you're not playing competitively against others. You're playing collaboratively. And the modules are split into level boundaries. So there's tiers, they call them. So there's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 and 4. Most of these modules, because of the length of the festival, are in tier 1. So there won't really be anyone reaching over level 5, but you could if you wanted. And if you wanted to play through the storyline, but you didn't want to spend all your time at the festival playing through it, you can take your Adventurers League character and carry on playing outside of the festival. This goes beyond the festival. You can even play AL online. It goes beyond the festival. Yeah.
It sounds brilliant. I love the idea of it. How many players can you accommodate?
Yeah, so it's usually 5 or 6 at a
Yes.
table. Anything more than that, it can become quite hard to manage combat when you're all taking it in turns. The wait between your turns can get a little bit long with many more than
Yes.
that. So I think we're looking at 5, possibly 6. But we've scheduled. I know D&D is something there's always a greater demand for than there is
Yeah.
supply. So we've scheduled plenty of games, so everyone should be able to book in.
Oh, right. So in terms of, because you've got 9 DMs who may or may not be able to run games at the same time, I suppose at any one point you could be able to accommodate 45 players, assuming everyone really, really rocks up and wants to do it.
The DMs, they're running games at certain time slots, and each DM's doing a different amount of games, whatever they feel they're able to. If anyone's interested in being a DM, it doesn't necessarily mean you give up your entire festival experience to AL. So some people are only running one game, and others have been like, nope, I want to run these games all weekend.
Great.
There is several games running at the same time, because also another new feature of the festival this year is that there'll be a dedicated RPG glade.
Oh, wow.
Because last year the RPGs were kind of spread across the festival site. Some were in campsites, and the tables were a bit all over the place. And we thought it would be beneficial to bring those people together and have like a centralized location where we can run RPGs from. And so this will be happening within that RPG glade, and within that RPG glade, there will also be other RPGs running that people have signed up to run. From a multitude of the other games that are out there. In terms of the booking system, that then goes out of my hands, the wonderful Laura, who is very organised with all these kinds of things. I anticipate people will be signing up to games in the manner they normally do for the festival, registering your interest beforehand. But I definitely recommend keeping an eye on when the reserving your place in games goes live, and have a look at the Adventurers League modules that we've got available there.
That's great. And for the benefit of those who aren't aware of it, keep your eyes on the website as well as the Discord, because I understand that the website has a lot of booking facilities. Matt, that's wonderful. I'm really excited about this. Well, I hope it's really, really successful, and I hope you get a lot of fun out of it as well, because I suspect it's something that's going to be welcomed every year.
Fingers crossed. That's the hope. I'm excited to see it unfold, and just to see so many people having fun with it. Feel free to reach out if you really like the sound of this. I'm in the Discord server. My name on there is just Matt Town, and as Andy rightly says, the Guildmaster in brackets has been added to my name. So if you see me on there, and there's Adventurers League channels on the Discord now as well. So if you like the sound of this and you'd like more information on it, or you'd like support in making your own character, absolutely any questions at all, feel free to reach out or post in that Adventurers League.
Brilliant. Yes. And as Matt has said, that's available on the Discord. As you allow your eye to scan down the listings of themes and so on, it's there under ADV-League. Matt, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for making time to have a chat. It deserves to do really well. It's very exciting to have, and I'm grateful for you.
Thank you very much, Andy. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share information about this exciting festival element.
You've been listening to SGFR, the podcast radio channel for the Strange Games Festival.
This season's hosts have been James, Laura, Andy, and Craig.
And if you'd like to come on the show, message us on the Festival Radio channel on the Strange Games Festival Discord server.